As we're learning explosive new information about the White House's talking points on the September the 11th attack on our embassy in Benghazi.
We got a new report now saying the talking points were changed 12 times from the original ones the CIA put out. The Weekly Standard columnist Stephen Hayes started this 1 week ago. He joins us right now because, Stephen, they reference your story as the foundation for their new information. What do you glean from this?
Morning, Brian. Yeah, this is a very interesting and compelling report from Jonathan Karl over at ABC News, who's a terrific reporter and has really added, I think, a lot of context and some new information to this story. What Jonathan reports basically is that this is a process, the redrafting of the talking point process, that was driven by the policymakers. This was driven by folks in the White House and at the State Department, and was not, as Jay Carney and others have contended, something that was driven primarily by the intelligence community.
Right, and in fact, Stephen, to your point, Jay Carney talking about that, here he is from this past November. Listen.
And the talking points that she used for those appearances that were provided by the intelligence community, those questions have been answered.
Okay, so there he is talking about Susan Rice appearing on those 5 talk shows on a Sunday morning saying it was all about the video. You're saying that the White House, and as we've heard just there, the White House has been saying, you know, the changes came from the intel community. They came from the White House. They came from the administration, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit of a combination, but certainly the substantive changes, the wholesale rewrite that we saw on the morning of Saturday, September 15th, the day before Susan Rice made all of her appearances, those suggestions came out of a deputies committee meeting of senior-level policymakers from National Security Council, White House, State Department, and elsewhere. It's very clear, both in the story that I wrote last week and in the story that Jonathan Karl puts up today, that these were changes that were made at the behest of policymakers. And, you know, the White House line on this, frankly, is a bit incoherent. Why would the intelligence community redraft talking points that they'd already finalized?
Exactly. And why would David Petraeus, as the former director of the CIA, go along with this ostensibly? I mean, that seems almost unbelievable. There are other high-ranking officials who followed the same storyline. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's interesting. One of the things, we just put a new story up at weeklystandard.com based on a couple of additional emails that I've seen. And one of those emails comes from David Petraeus, and it's early in the afternoon of September 15th, and it's when General Petraeus first sees this newly scrubbed version of the talking points. And remember, his agency had put out a robust set of talking points less than 24 hours earlier. It goes through this process where they get input from policymakers, White House, State Department, et cetera, and then on the other end is spit out this very bland and watered-down version. So Petraeus sees this version and sends an email to his legislative affairs director, a guy named Chip Walter, and says, in effect, really, this is what they're sending out? They've stripped this down. They even took out references to our warnings about protests and demonstrations in Cairo.
But
so why would he go? Why would he? Just to educate me anyway. Is that the way it works? The CIA would allow their conclusions to be skewed to the point where they don't reflect their beliefs?
No, this is not the way it works. This is definitely not the way it should work. I mean, the CIA put out a set of talking points, a set of unclassified guidance for members of Congress and people in the executive branch based on what the CIA knew at the time. And, you know, that original draft, the original CIA draft, is the one that had references to Islamic extremists with ties to al-Qaeda,
yeah, but Stephen,
Ansar al-Sharia, et cetera, et cetera.
Why would General Petraeus have that meeting with members of Congress? Remember when that meeting happened, everyone thought, wow, now we're going to hear the real story. But in that meeting, he said it was because of the video.
Well, he said both. I think what he said was, this is what I think happened. So the CIA reports early that there were concerns about demonstrations in Cairo based on social media posts. That was briefed to members of Congress, and I think what the CIA said, in effect, was, see, we pointed to these demonstrations. We just saw them happening in Cairo. And then the CIA did, in defense of the White House, the CIA did, I think, make at least some connection between the protests in Cairo and Benghazi. And then the White House took that, I think, very small data point and built an entire, I think, very misleading narrative from that one small data point.
And remember what happened to General Petraeus. It was shortly after that it was revealed that he had had that affair with Paula Broadwell.
And James Clapper tells him to resign. Do you think there's a link?
I don't think we have enough information to say at this point, but certainly we have a lot more questions to be answered about how these talking points were put together and what happened afterwards.
So what is, you, as somebody who's been on the inside of this and broke this story initially, what happens now? I mean, this obviously grows because now we're learning more and more. It's been described as drip by drip, and some people were saying there's no smoking gun. Is this it?
Oh, it's definitely not it. I mean, you know, just coming out of the hearings the other day, you had even Democratic members of Congress saying we need more information, we need to have all unclassified documents released. You had even Democratic members of Congress, I think, asking for more witnesses. So I think this is getting bigger before it gets smaller.
All right. You can read all about his new column. It's at weeklystandard.com. It's called The Benghazi Scandal Grows. Stephen Hayes, thank you very much with the breaking news.
Thanks for having me, guys.
You bet.
Wow.